Hello and welcome back to my shed after a long break. What you see in front of you are the remains of the Robotic Arm. It's been languishing in my shed for, well, nigh on a year now. I got so disappointed with it not actually working last time. It's been sat there waiting for me to do something with it, and now is the time. A while ago, what happened last time is we threaded the splines on one of the servo arms, so I did actually go out and buy this tiny little metal servo arm, and never really got round to installing it. It would have needed to go in somewhere like that, and the difference in size is huge. Didn't really think it was going to be much of work, so eventually I've scrapped it. So out of that we got the 4 servos. We dug those out, cleaned them up a bit. There's lots of hot glue all over them, but we've cleaned up most of that. So what are we going to do with them? Well, runting around on eBay, I saw a robotic arm for sale, fairly cheap because I don't have a lot of money to spend on this sort of thing, and we sent off for it, and eventually it arrived, and it arrived in a big bag. I've already unboxed it, so you don't get to see that, and we've got lots of bits. Here we go. 4 bags of screws. Don't know what those are all for, because when it arrived there were no instructions, so we're going to have to make this up as it is. What I do know is I need another 2 servos, so I had to go out and buy those. So here's those 2. So we've got 6 servos. Strangely, the new servos are a smidge bigger. There, as you can see that, they're a smidge bigger, slightly different dimensions than the others. They're the same type, MG996Rs, but I think the original ones are a bit of a rip-offs, a bit sort of shady those. These are possibly more original, but who knows nowadays. I don't think that'll make a big difference. Looking through the internet and finding what I needed to know, searching about on instructions for this, it did occur to me that we need servo horns, so I had to go and buy some of those, these little metal servo horns. They only sell these in packets of 5, so I had to buy 2 packs of those. That should be enough to build the arm, but what are we going to control it with? Well, the other thing I located, well, instead of my original plan of doing switches, we're going to use joysticks, because we've got these lovely little joysticks with three potentiometers built in. One for vertical, one for horizontal, and one for zoom. And there's also a button on the top, which I'm sure we can find a use for. So we've got 2 of those. One I've already started to wire up. Had to find out how to center those servos, but we'll get into that. We have a servo control board, that way round. Well, there we go. And this is going to be powered or controlled by my trusty Arduino here. So this is an I2C device. It communicates via 2 digital cables from the Arduino, and allows us to control up to 16 servos. I've only got 6, so it should be fine. And we're going to need the power distribution board that I built previously in the previous video. And anything else we've got here? Probably breakout board, probably all sorts of things we're going to need additionally. But all of this, I'm going to try and put this together in this video. So hopefully this will be a bit more instructional than some of the stuff that I've seen on the internet. But with no instructions and only a few pictures to go from, it's going to be tricky. Okay, so let's get started. Let's clear some space first and see what we need to do. I think we'll start with some easy bits. I don't think we'll need those just yet. Don't need that. just get all of that out of the way. These screws are quite interesting. We've got some bearings here, and presumably these sort of go opposite the servos, so that the rest of it swivels around these bearings. Quite interesting. We'll see what those do. As far as I can see, these bolts are for screwing and attaching the servos to these things. So it goes a bit like that, and these big bolts are used to attach the servos into there. These bolts don't have nuts on them, and there is enough to do the servo horns, but I don't know, maybe that's the servo horns. I've actually got I've got bolts in those servo horn packets, so I may not need those. These ones, presumably lots of bolts and nuts and bolts there, are for screwing it all together. So that's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to do the easy bit first. This is all based on some pictures, basically the ones I got off of eBay, which are probably not very good. But these pictures here are the ones we're going to be basing this on. So this kind of goes together, according to those pictures, goes together like this, and then we'll see what we can do from there. Let's just bolt that together and see how it goes. Okay, that's the first bit, and now I need to refer to the drawings to see where I'm going. Okay, so after consulting the pictures, the vague pictures of the on eBay, this servo, one of the servos, this is the it's going to take quite a lot of load. This one straps on here, and this is actually fixed directly to there. And then you get one of these C-shaped clamps that attaches on here, presumably with some sort of bearing, one of the bearings over here, through there, and then, there we go, something like that. And my problem is, which will give us, if this goes there, it will give us this movement here. Now I need to make sure, one of the problems we had last time was the servo centering. When these servos start off, the neutral position is right in the middle, and they turn through 90 degrees. So if this servo's here, I want the neutral position to be, where do I want it? I want the neutral position to be there, and I want it to be able to turn through 180 degrees like that. So how do I make sure that this servo, when I clamp it all down with the servo horns and everything else, how do I make sure that that's what its range of motion is? Because it's going to be very difficult to tweak it, undo all these bolts and bearings and all sorts of things afterwards. Right, so we need to centre this servo so that it behaves properly when we've fully assembled it, because at the moment it could be all the way at one stop, so when we put it in we put it in like that, it'll want to turn all the way around like that. So I need to build a servo centering rig, and we're going to use the bits that we had already. So let me just clear some space because it's not going to, I've got all these nuts in the way. Let's just push them over there. Going to lose half of them. Push them out of shot. Servo centering rig to center this servo. Right, Arduino, I2C, power rig. So, right, so we've got the Arduino, we need to connect everything up. Let's do the easy bit. We're only going to do one at a time, so let's get rid of all of those. We're only going to go for number 1 on this board. We're going to go for number 1 on this board. Let's keep that out of the way. We need some power. So I've got 5 volts coming from a slightly meatier power supply. In theory we could supply power into here, but we think we'll have the same problem as the transmitter receiver that we had, where I don't really think this is going to take lots of amps. These things apparently take up to 2 amps on full torque, and we've got 6 of them. Does that mean we need 12 amps? I don't know. In theory this can do 12 amps. I'm a bit worried about these wires for 12 amps, but never mind. I don't think this will take 12 amps without getting extremely hot. So anyway, we need to connect. Oh, we need the ground. Let's see. Ground and VCC. And we're going to connect that to the Arduino. So ground is grey. Ground to 5 volts. There we go. So that's the power to that board sorted out. We need to connect some data lines. So we've got now we're coming in from these 2 up here, and I can't remember which way round those are supposed to be. One goes to the clock and one goes to the data. Let's see if it's this way round. I'll fuse the whole thing if it doesn't work. Never mind. That's clock and that is data. That's all connected up. So now I need to connect up the Arduino and see what happens. Now no idea what's previously loaded onto this Arduino. Something is, because it's tickling away there. We seem to have power. We may have got those the wrong way around, so we'll just have to see. Let's shut that down for a minute and see what we've got. Let's code something into the Arduino that'll just set that servo right in the middle. Okay, we've got some code loaded up onto the Arduino. Don't really know where the servo is, so let's fire this up and it should turn it to halfway. Yeah, okay, settle down. Still moving? Well, that looks about halfway. I'm going to deal with that. Now that's one servo centered. If I'm very careful I can pull that off. And we've got 6 to do. So let's just plug that one in. Okay, that's all my servos centered. So now we can carry on with the build. Let's get them out of the way. Let's turn all this off. Take them out. Let's probably leave that for next time. Back to this. So, this bit, these bits, I've got, how many of those have I got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 of those. 5 of those. 5 of those and this arm thing here. So presumably this servo doesn't need, this servo goes in there, otherwise all the other servos fit in these nice holders. So we've got to build this servo here, these servo holders. As far as I can see, one bolt's in there. I've obviously got to bolt that. How does that fit? That doesn't, oh there we go. That fits in like that and holds the line. I've obviously got to do that before I put that in, so let's do that now. Okay, so we've got the servo mount in, and we've got the servo to go in there. Now, as I said, we want it to swing in this direction, not that direction, but this direction. So, we need all the servo centering stuff again, because I don't know which way this actually goes. Does it turn this way, or does that matter? I don't know. No, it shouldn't matter. As long as it turns. It's set this way. If it turns, or if it turns. Yeah, should be fine. Right, let's get... There's a bearing to go on the bottom. So how does that fit? We've got to get one of these on there. So some sort of bearing. These are fiddly. Now hopefully, if I got that right. Does it matter which way round these go? Now, I don't know which way the weight coming down. The weight's coming that way, so let's put it in that way up. So I'm assuming that these screws, yes, those go through there. This servo goes on that way round, and we have to align that with there. So it's going to be, which hole is it going to be? Which hole is it going to be? Probably the middle one, why not? So let's put that in there. And then am I going to get that one? How am I going to get that one? Does that make sense? How does that make sense? That must go that way round. Does that make a difference? Okay, after a bit of faffing about, mistake number one, first of many I suspect. Very difficult to actually do that, get to that screw. get to that nut rather, while it's on there. Oh, we could do that, I suppose. So I don't know, I don't know which way round this bearing goes. There is a flange on this bearing, if you can see. Probably can't. There's a flange on it, which means it doesn't fall through the hole. Now, does it make a difference that way or the other way? I think I'm going to do it this way. So, aha! There we go. See if we can tighten that up. That doesn't look very tight. Is that supposed to be tight? You'd have thought so. Because there's a lot of weight coming down on there. Well, maybe that's right. We'll see. So, bearing in. Let's slot the servo in. And we probably need one of these. Probably need one of those on first. So it's going to be like that. It's going to be like that. All those splines engaged. Let's put that in there. Okay. And let's get some more screws and stuff out and fix. Oh no! I can't put that in first. This is going to be fun. I need to reattach this. Comedy of errors as we work through this puzzle. This is only the first bit. This is the bit we can actually see. Okay, tighten those up. Okay, we've got that on there. So which way those come out? Slot that in there, and bolts. Let's bolt the first servo in. Well, that's the first servo on. Some of those screws are a bit tough, and they're very small and fiddly, and my fingers are too big to be doing this. So we've got the first servo horn to go on. Now, do I use the supplied ones, or do I use the ones that came with the servo horn? I'm going to use the ones that came with the servo horn and stick those on. Right, first servo horn, first servo in. Oh, I need to put the screw to hold that down. Here we go. It's a bit mashed from being there. So stick that one in. Now these are a bit worn. Okay, that's the first servo in, the first part of the arm. And now I need to refer back to the picture to see where we are. These stampings are not too bad actually, they're a bit tight. I suppose they're all very similar. We'll have to see what it looks like, how it squares up, how it actually works. It's a bit of slop there, but I'm assuming the weight coming down on the rest of the arm will be taken on that bearing there, which is, yeah, that's why I put it in that way around. The flange is on the bottom, so that the weight rests on the flange, and hopefully when that turns, nothing bad happens. Okay, I need to consult the pictures. Okay, this video is getting quite long, so I'm going to break this into multiple parts. Thank you for watching part 1, and I will see you next time in my shed.